Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast Injury Show with bigz, Grindberg, and Marcus Galie. We're going to talk some injuries. We're going to talk about some matchups, and then Mike is going to probe us, he says.
Oh boy.
But before we get into all that, like and subscribe to the show. Go to fantasysportsadvicenetwork.com and get your pro membership over there so you can have access to all of your favorite experts, and videos, and all of that stuff. You can find our polls over there. So let's get probed.
Marcus, welcome back. You had a couple 2-week absence because you got married or something. Why would you want to miss fantasy football for getting married? What a guy gets married in the middle of fantasy football season.
Unbelievable. Poor timing, I know.
How you doing, buddy? Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. October was a bit of a whirlwind. So, I was missing you boys, though. I was happy that I could make one today after my absence. So I'm ready to roll.
Well, at least it wasn't a summer wedding.
Yeah.
People who get married before October are doing it wrong.
Hey, we had great weather. Leaves were changing. It was awesome. So we wouldn't change anything about it.
And this is your first wife, right, Marcus?
Correct.
All right.
First and hopefully last. Yeah, first and only.
But in our pre-show, I told Marcus that whenever he's introducing his wife to somebody, he should always say, "This is my first wife."
There you go. And that's going to be a status quo from now on. I think we're all going to do that unless, we're on our second or third wives, right?
Sure.
This is my third wife. When you get up. Oh, bigz, you get my mind spinning every day. Okay, let's get into some football talk here, folks, and let's talk about injuries. Marcus is physiotherapist, is what we call them in my country up in Canada, and he's going to kind of dissect a couple of these injuries. I'm going to probe some questions here. Let's talk about the Raiders at Bengals. T. Higgins has now been ruled as doubtful for this game. This injury keeps him looming out. If he can't play, obviously, it looks like potentially Jermaine Burton might get an upswing in his target share and snaps. But Marcus, how does Higgins' potential absence impact Joe Burrow for one?
Yeah, so, historically we've seen Burrow do a little bit worse without having two dynamic receivers in their offensive scheme. Last week without Higgins, they did get pushed around a little bit. I don't know that it was all the offense's fault as the defense gave up almost 40 points to Philly. But, I think for this week, especially just with, lack of trust and experience on the depth chart behind Higgins, meaning Yoshivas, Burton, and Irwin, I think it's going to be a big Jamar Chase week again. And then I believe last week we saw an increase in targets for Gesicki. Just to piggyback too, I did see that Zach Moss was also just ruled doubtful as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to imagine that the majority of the running game work is going to go to Brown. So I expect Brown and Chase to be the focal points of the offense on Sunday.
So bigz, what about you on the other side of the ball here? Because Lamar Jackson, has got some sort of situation here where he hasn't practiced at all this week. It sounds like he's going to play, this game has got a lot riding on it. Both those teams actually need this win pretty bad to keep up with the Steelers here now. What's your advice for fantasy managers right now that are looking at Lamar Jackson?
I mean, you have to play Lamar.
Yeah.
If he plays, you have to play him. Personally, I'm a little bit scared off by quarterbacks lately starting games and then leaving due to injury. It's happened to a few of my quarterbacks in the last couple of weeks. But
yeah,
you have to play Lamar.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, if he's playing, you have to play him for sure. Now let's move on to the Patriots at Titans. Drake May is progressing through concussion protocol and has a chance to play this Sunday. His health is a priority for the Patriots, who might have to adjust to his playing style after his first concussion. So bigz, this one's for you. If May plays, how does that change the Patriots' offensive approach in this tough matchup? Because you said that on our show yesterday. It's a tough matchup for these Patriots against this Titans defense.
Yeah, it doesn't change at all. Anybody that watched our start and sit trick or treat show knows that I'm sitting every Patriot that I have.
Yeah. And what is the likelihood of him playing this week there, Marcus? Concussions, I think it's a 60% chance that they miss, 1 week, but how's he progressing through this? And do you think, what if you were to give our viewers a percentage on him playing, what would your, educated guess be?
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be a little more conservative with him just because of the position he plays. He is so young. I have seen people clear it in less than a week. Someone just did that last week. Was it Marv like a couple weeks ago? So it can be done. Like people have, exited a game with a concussion and played the next week. I do believe that it says that May was limited in practice. They don't quite divulge all of the information necessary for me to know. But I would probably put it at 50-50 solely because he's quarterback, number 3 overall pick, face of the franchise. They have 2 wins. So I could see them going a little more conservative just because it's their quarterback. But, if he was another position, maybe a higher percentage, but I would say 50-50 for May this week with the concussion protocol.
That's fair. All right, let's move on to the Saints at Panthers now. I had this question marked out for Marcus, but this is a Derek Carr question, so I think it's going to go right to bigz here. He's been limited in practice all week, but is expected to start against the Panthers, who he lit up in week 1. Now, how important is Carr's return to the Saints' chances this week? They're bigz, and what should we expect from him moving into this week here?
Expect a Derek Carr game. He's going to, throw a couple touchdowns, 250 yards, maybe an interception. The offense functions behind him. We saw what Spencer Rattler's NFL audition led to, and it's Derek Carr. He's mid. He'll finish around QB 15, and that's where he lives.
But great news for Alvin Kamara, I would assume here.
Yes.
He's going to be the recipient of all these dump offs, and Kamara had a down game, if you will, but just based off of the opportunity last week, based off of his RB1 numbers, he's been putting up all year. So I'm hoping to see him back in that range this week, coming off of a Derek Carr entrance here. So let's move on to Jonathan Brooks here, who's been kind of a topic all offseason and hasn't practice in full quite just yet. Now he's being designated to return to non-football injury situation here. Marcus, what is the impact Brooks can bring once he does return? And when do you peg him back? Do you see him coming back relatively soon?
Yeah, so with those ACLs, typically you look at around the 9 to 10 month mark return to sport. He has hit that stage now. So he is ready. He did practice in full the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent report I saw was that he's doubtful for the game on Sunday. I don't know whether that's something that he's feeling in practice. A big thing when you're returning from an ACL injury is just building that confidence in the leg to make all the cuts that you need to. And sometimes that just takes practice and reps and in live game reps. That's why you see some players almost take a full year, like Javonte Williams last year. Just didn't look great. This year's 2 years removed from it, and he looks a little bit better. So there is a bit of a confidence portion of his recovery. It does not look like he's going to play this week. I do expect to see him this year, though. But I imagine with Chuba Hubbard, they're actually playing decently well for their team. They won't feel the need to really give Brooks like a full workload. They'll probably sprinkle him in a little bit just to get him used to being back out there.
Sounds like you listened to our show yesterday, Marcus. It's exactly what bigz and I kind of determined yesterday. So I'm really happy to hear that you're on the same page as both of us with the Jonathan Brooks situation. So Brian Thomas Jr. Now, this situation here is evolving. He was supposed to miss 2 to 4 weeks was the initial report, but now it looks like he's day to day, practiced in limited fashion. If Thomas can't go, bigz, who steps up in this receiving core for the Jags?
Parker Washington? I don't know. Evan Ingram.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring Schultze on here. He might have a little bit more ear to the ground. Schultze, welcome back. Okay. Hey. Who's the recipient here? We'll try and get a little bit higher up here on the screen for you. If anybody right now, outside of Brian Thomas, if he doesn't play.
Well, I mean, if you're going to talk about wide receiver specifically, it is Parker Washington.
Yeah.
He slots right into that Christian Kirk role, but he can play outside as well, which is like his big bonus. Kirk cannot. So they can use Parker Washington all over the place, and he's kind of already had a little bit of chemistry with Trevor. I mean, a little bit last year down the stretch when Kirk was hurt. But then Parker was really good this offseason and preseason. You know, he's just kind of stuck behind a bunch of guys in front of him. I mean, when you pay Gabe Davis and you're still paying Kirk and you draft Brian Thomas in the first round. But, hey, he's got a chance. So, yeah, I think he's the dude if there's going to be one.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Schulte. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Bye. All right, let's get back to the Jags as well, because we know that this situation with Travis Etienne, he's been out of the lineup for a couple games now. There's optimism for his return against the Eagles, but the backfield and workload is uncertain, especially with Tank Bigsby, how he's emerged. So, Marcus, how concerned are we about Etienne's hamstring impacting his performance, and would you start him regardless in fantasy football?
Yeah, these hamstrings are annoying because it's very easy to re-injure them. He's missed the last 2 games, I believe. So usually for a grade 1 hamstring strain, which he has, it's about that 2 to 3 week mark. So you got to think he's feeling better. So looks like he's going to play, I believe, the most recent report I saw. You know, I don't think it'll impact him too much from a health standpoint, at least right away. But I think you should be more concerned about his running mate in the backfield, Tank Bigsby, who, you know, seems to be getting more and more involved each week. But just having said that, I will say I do think in Dynasty, to switch gears slightly, I think Etienne is a pretty good buy low candidate at the moment. This is probably going to be the cheapest he is, at least this season.
So you would suggest people, you know, send out some feelers for Travis Etienne right now?
I would. Yeah, he's only 25. You know, even with splitting time there, you know, a lot of teams are going to, you know, multiple running back systems. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if you can get him for a second and a third or something. You know, why not?
He's probably on a new team next year as well, which is
there you go. Yeah.
Right.
So right. So thank you for chipping in, Schulte. That's another thing. Looking into the future, if they don't bring him back, you know, he could, you know, land right in the RB1 like workload situation again. So.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I agree with that, bigz. Hopefully that soothes some of our reluctance here with Travis Etienne, and you know, I agree with you there, Marcus, as well. Now, Marcus, you have not yet been a part of our community yet, and we're gonna have to get you over to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website. I'll get you a membership there, and here's why. This is where you'll find it.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Yeah, man. So as you're a creator now there for us on the network, we'll definitely get you in on that, and I'll do that this weekend for you there, bud. But it's a great community. It's where we can get some questions answered, and yeah, let's keep moving on here. We got another game, another situation here that it looks like DK Metcalf has been ruled out once again against a Rams team that, you know, this game is a really important game. So obviously Metcalf can't go. How do we see this offense adapting here? We saw last week JSN come in against the Bills. He wasn't, you know, super prolific, but I thought he would probably come in and you know, do a little better. Marcus, what do you think this Seahawks offense is going to need now without DK?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I was expecting a bigger step forward from this year in general from, you know, JSN, but stats are looking very similar to last year in terms of like average depth of target, like yards per catch, things like that. He's still oftentimes around the line of scrimmage. And, you know, with Lockett getting up there in age too, he's not able to stretch the field like he once was. So I think it's going to be a lot, you know, leaning on the running game and, close passes to the line of scrimmage. I don't know, like Metcalf really opens it up for them. And, we've seen Seattle not really look the same the last week or so. So I don't know. They're a tough team to get a pulse on. But without Metcalf, they are really going to struggle to stretch the field, which is actually a way to hurt the Rams defense, just the way that their personnel lines up. So,
yeah. So bigz, I got a question for you then about this matchup then for JSN, because the Rams, they give up a decent amount of points to opposing wide receivers. The Bills are a tougher matchup, especially at home. So I'm hoping this could be the game for JSN. What do you think?
I agree with Marcus that losing DK kind of hurts. The way that offense is kind of structured, DK is a very important part of it, running that X role. And the Bills are the third best defense against fantasy wide receivers. They only allow 14 points per game. So I see more struggle for Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Okay. All right. So Tyrone Tracy today was cleared concussion protocol. So it looks like he's playing. Huge news for the Giants and obviously fantasy managers. They're playing a Commanders team that gives up a lot of fantasy points to people. So I'm looking for a really good game for Tyrone Tracy here. He's obviously supplanted Devin Dingleberry as the number one running back in the Giants offense now. So Marcus, are you with me here? Do you think Singletary is no longer, and he's a figment of our imagination now?
I mean, it certainly appears that way. I just watched Tyrone Tracy destroy my Steelers on Monday night. Steelers did win, but I mean, they could not stop that man for the life of them. Looks like he did clear protocol in less than a week. Like I said, it can be done. So my guess is he was very mildly symptomatic, if anything. So he looks like he'll be ready to roll. And I don't know. The only thing that would give me pause is that, I don't know if they're going to be playing catch up. And if that's the case, I don't know that they're going to be able to get him going on the ground. Now, he does have really good receiving upside, being a former receiver. But I don't know. It's a divisional game too, so it could be closer than anticipated. But yeah, I like Tracy this week. Fire him up. He's been very impressive so far in year one, and I think he pretty much just took the job from Singletary last week. I think was the nail in the coffin.
You watched him destroy your Steelers. You also watched him completely bail me out in the Dukes Classic. I was down by 23 points, and that's exactly what he got in my Monday Night Miracle. So
that was epic.
Yeah, crazy. So Tyrone Tracy is winning championships for people right now, and he could be a league winner down this home stretch. And if you listen to the fantasy forecast, our waiver wire shows weeks ago, you already have him in your lineup, and he's doing wonders for you guys. So let's move on to the Packers and Lions. Jordan Love with that groin. He returned to practice on Thursday after sitting out Wednesday. His participation is a promising sign for week 9. He should be cleared to play and should be a solid low-end QB1 against the Lions this week. There, bigz, what do you expect from Love if he plays?
More than 5.5 points, I hope.
That crushed me. Yeah.
The worst part about it is that I played him and sat Jaden because of what happened the previous week. So
and it wasn't until the Hail Mary that actually bailed us out too for Jaden Daniels as well. So
right.
No,
I mean, love is the guy. You have to go with him. It's going to be a really good game. I think he's if he plays and he plays a full game, I think he's going to have a pretty big day.
Yeah. What about you, Marcus? You agree with that?
Yeah, I think he's going to play. The back-to-back limited practice is a good sign. They're also playing the Lions. I don't care what anybody says. Like, if he's even remotely able to go, they're going to get him out there for this big divisional game. They're one game behind. I think I actually talked about this earlier in the year. It was about Jordan Love. It was when he hurt his knee.
Yeah,
I was like, there's no need to rush him back in week 2. It's not like it's late in the season. They need to win a game against a divisional opponent. They'll probably play it a little more safer. But now, he is limited. I truly think they're going to do what they can to get him out there. So, I think he's probably going to play.
Especially in that divisional game, like you mentioned. This is a huge game. A lot of big games this weekend. And these divisional games are going to come down to the wire, I think, in a lot of these cases. And health is a huge undertone here. The Rams-Seahawks game, the Ravens-Bengals game, this game that we just finished talking about. A lot of implications here for
Bengals
a lot of
playing
teams.
The Raiders.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, sorry. I mistake that. My bad. Anyhow, but there's a lot of implications here as far as divisional games go. And health is a huge focus. So TJ Hockenson coming back. It looks like he's going to play this week against the Colts. And how do you feel this is going to impact the offense, Biggs, moving forward?
TJ Hockenson is top 3 tight end in the National Football League every week. And he's a good piece on that Minnesota Vikings team. I would have liked to have seen, just for the storyline, the Vikings make it undefeated to Hockenson coming back, but that didn't happen. But yeah, it's wheels up for the Vikings at this point with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson, Aaron Jones being healthy, Sam Darnold, resurrecting his career. It's a great story, and Hockenson being back is going to be huge.
So, Marcus, my question for you. We've
been waiting 9 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question for you then, Marcus, is how long do you think it's going to take him to ramp up his progression to full bore here? Do you think it's going to take a week or two, or are they going to, take the training wheels off this first week and let him rip?
That's a really good question. A lot of it depends on how he's looked and felt in practice. Again, like I talked about with who did we just talk about off the ACL at the beginning of Jonathan Brooks. It's just going to depend on, getting him those live reps. I could go either way. He could step right in and just go back to playing like, he hasn't missed a beat. But I do anticipate he probably won't play a super high snap percentage. They might just limit him to a few more of the passing situations just to, use his skill set more to what they want to do. But no, he'll be back. I would start him if you have him. I don't think he's going to be on any kind of crazy restriction. Just he might not be playing like 80, 90% of the snaps like he would prior to tearing his ACL. But I'm excited. I'm excited to have him back. I agree with Biggs that he's a top 3 player at the position, and we'll see how he looks. It might take a couple weeks for him to really get comfortable, but I would play him if you have him.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, this injury list is becoming quite a bit shorter these days as far as, what we talked about after week 2 and 3. So that's a good sign. But, there's some big name players that are, taking rest for the rest of the year. So hopefully that ends now and we can get some health back into our lineups. And thanks everybody for joining us on the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Biggs and our special guest, Marcus, as always, our injury specialist. Marcus, you want to tell everybody where to find your stuff?
Schultze.
Of course, Schultze. Can't forget Schultze.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at MD Galie, part of the Undroppables Network. Steelers Uncovered, which we just went live the other night. We had an awesome show. Also, you can find me here on Fridays or Saturdays with these 2 gentlemen. And then also I do some injury content as well on Undroppables YouTube and Twitter or X.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure having you. Your insights are always sharp. Biggs, take us home, man.
We hope you win.
We hope you win. Marcus, we hope you win.
Until next time. Appreciate
Peace
it.
out. Peace.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Woohoo.